So, so this is a very challenging topic, and I'm sharing my screen. So, teaching heterogeneous group of students, it's a very challenging topic in a sense that we are given a group of students coming from various backgrounds with various educational backgrounds, economical backgrounds, also intellectual IQ differences. So therefore, it is a bit of a challenging to teach them. So I have explored the ways in which a teacher can successfully deliver the course content as well as help these students to achieve the goal of getting educated, at least to walk away with a degree that sells. Now my presentation overview is given here. So I thought of starting with a small warmer. What is education and its ultimate aim? A kind of general discussion. Then introduction to heterogeneous students in India and Oman. Challenges in our higher education system. Then teaching digital natives. Task-based teaching and learning. Cooperative learning. These three are the methodology I'm trying to explain to you today. And collaborative learning, task-based learning, cooperative learning, and collaborative learning. I have added a small discussion session on learner motivation. Then it is a conclusion and a question answer session. So now I'm going to share you a picture. Just have a look at it for a minute and tell me what you feel. So in that slide, that I is missing. I see you did well in school, but what real world skills do you have? It is an interview situation, and rest you can read and try to understand. Have a minute, look at the picture and just record the thoughts that comes to your mind. You can type your responses on the chat box. If you want, I can give you some scaffolding, some questions that will kindle your thoughts. Is it 100% true, or is it an exaggeration? Is it real? What percentage of reality can be attributed to this picture? Are we giving more importance to tests, leaving other skills? Academic tests are tests he will face in career. Okay, students lack skills, they are examination oriented. It's mostly true, 80% true. Okay, that's a response from Ms. Nagalakshmi. Okay, if it is true to at least 80%, what are we supposed to do about it? Do we leave it at that and just go on? Yeah, students are skillful in writing tests, but not skillful. Education focuses more in testing. Right, all these things are part of the problem. But what are we doing about it? This is very, very important. That's one of the most important, very relevant questions today when we discuss, when we have any discussion on higher education situation in our country as well as world over. This is a situation, except for a few countries who really give or concentrate on all level developments and focus on rounded development of a student. All round development is concentrated. Now, what is education? When we look at the etymological meaning, education is derived from Latin word educare, which means to bring up or to nourish. So just I am not going to explain much. You're all teachers and you can understand. Just I am trying to create a situation or trying to create a discussion on what is education. Educare is also Latin word to lead out a child from darkness of ignorance to light of knowledge. So this is also in Latin, it means showing light, or to draw out best of mind, head and heart of a child. The act of training or teaching. All these things are etymological meaning for education. Now let us look at some of the Indian concept of education. Rigveda says education is something which makes a man self-reliant and selfless. What a contrast, isn't it? You have to be self-reliant as well as selfless. So education is the that whose end product is salvation, Upanishads. And Shankaracharya has a different view. Education is the realization of the self. Kautilya says education means training for the country and love for the nation. So it's very relevant in India today, isn't it? Must love your country, nationalism. So what do modern Indian thinkers say about education? So you can have a look at these things. They are short sentences you can read along. And I want to give special attention to what Dr. Radhakrishnan has said about education. Education, according to Indian tradition, is not merely a means of earning a living, nor it is only a nursery of thought or a school for citizenship. It is initiation into the life of spirit and training of human souls in the pursuit of truth and the patience of virtue. So this is very, very focused way of talking about education. So we all know. So these are all embedded in our culture where children are educated in order to give both spiritual training as well as give them a chance to pursue truth and practice virtue in their life. Now, this is what another very famous educator says about education, John Heinrich Pestalozzi. See, he says learning by head, hand, and heart. And more or less, his definition about education is very relevant today. That's why I included this here. Education is a social process of organized growth and development. Education should be in accordance with laws of natural growth and development of the child. So education should be a natural process, not an artificial process as devised by the universities and colleges all over the world. Of course, I mean, that is also needed. Lessons were to be learned through direct experience with objects and places through observation, inquiry, and reasoning. So this is most relevant to technical education today. So we are all working in colleges of technology or universities of technology. So the last point is very relevant to what we are doing in our day-to-day professional life as teachers. Now let us move on to what are the ultimate aims of education. So let us have a look at these points. I'm not going to read out, just have a minute and have a look at all these things. And you all would agree with me that these are all part and parcel of education or aims of education. I think you could go through all the points, and you all would agree with me that these are all very important aims or focus of education today. So it is not that students get to know something and try to get an employment and move ahead in life with some sort of an economic progress. But other than that, these are all very relevant and important for educating or getting educated as a citizen, as a human being. These are all very important. So, yeah. I think your slides, it takes a few seconds. There is a delay. I could see that in my other device. So kindly bear with me. Now, let us have a look at the heterogeneous students, both in India and in Oman. And I'm not going to read out about India. So we are all aware, and you are part and parcel of that. And I shall explain a few things on the right, Oman. So, well, like in India, after plus two, they come after um, government exam, national admission scheme. It's centralized admissions are even. So there is a university called Sultan Qaboos University, the cream. They go to Sultan Qaboos University, take up medical studies or whatever. And those who are left out, they come to technical colleges or applied sciences colleges. Now they are called University of Technology and Applied Sciences, and others go to private universities partly funded by government. So most of the students, like in India, are from urban area, rural area, remote villages, and even children from Bedouin families, nomadic tribes who look after their sheep and cows and camels, and they live in sacks. Economically and socially backward, some of them are very, very economically and socially backward. From dominant communities, what I mean by dominant communities means caste hierarchy, ruling class, upper class, like Buzaidis, Alhinais, educationally very highly, mostly tribals, but among them there are different class and community differences, bifurcations. From dominant communities, and their language, especially in language English communication is not up to the mark. There are IQ deficiencies. So when compared to Indian students, they are intellectually far behind. Students with minimum scores in plus two. One reason for intellectually they are a little bit below because education is a new concept to them. And for ages, they were learning nothing but Quran. That was the only education they used to get. And most of the students are first generation students. And students with minimum scores come to technical colleges. And the purpose of technical colleges in Oman is to train them as technicians, not to train them as great engineers and things like that, at least for the technical job. Of course, some of them do extremely well and take up very good jobs and management positions in the country. Some are economically well off and socially very forward, and some are socially from very close to Islamic societies. Even there are students who come who refuse to believe that man has gone to moon. So they argue against it. So that is the kind of thinking they have. Now, what do we do when these students come? So this is a pattern we follow. So we conduct a placement test, and as they come in, we conduct a placement test, and those who get above 80, they directly go to the certificate. That is the main subject, engineering, IT, and management. And if they not only 80%, they should have IELTS 5-point score. If they do come with that, they can go directly to the certificate. Others, if they less than 80, 60 and 80, they go to level 4. Those who get between 50 and 60 go to level 3, and 40 to 50% they go to level 2, and those who get below that, they start from level 1. And they are taught, it is called General Foundation Program. I work in the General Foundation Program. So my job is to train them in language, and we teach different courses, writing, listening, and we teach English mainly focusing on developing their skills, 4 skills that are very important in a language. So they do level 1. It is around 12 to 15 weeks course. And along with that, they study basic math. There's a spelling mistake, sorry about that. Level 2 basic maths. Then level 3 IT skills, you know how to use basic IT skills, computers, internet, and IT skills too. Then when they finish level 4, they take institutional IELTS exam. Once they get then again, depending on the score, it is decided whether a student will complete his certificate and leave the college, or take a diploma and leave the college, or take a higher diploma and leave the college, or he'll finish his bachelor's and leave, what you call equivalent to B in our country. So this is what India, the present education HRD is planning for India, where students are allowed to get out with a certificate or a higher education, whatever. You know, they need not stay in the college for 4 years, depending on their efficiency and ability, or depending on the requirement. If someone wants to take a certificate and leave for a job, they can leave. Then when we look at the graduate attributes, what a student who is coming out of a technical college or an arts college or a university, getting a certificate or a degree should possess. So he should have knowledge of the subject, efficient in communication. They should have social and interpersonal skills, critical thinking skills, problem solving skills, social skills, collaborative skills, and social responsibility. Now, do you all agree with me or not? Yeah, of course, this reflects the new education policy in India. Yes, I agree. So I think it is a progressive thinking, and we are moving forward, I know, in incorporating many changes into our education system. Now, these are the attributes. They should have all these attributes. They should be efficient in all these things. Now, let us look at the kind of graduates. Of course, there are some percentage of graduates who come out with all the positive attributes just now I listed out. Now, look at the graduates we produce in our country. Now, I am not a great authority on current education scenario in India, but I have worked in India for private colleges and for, of course, for the government of India also for 7 years. With that experience, and now I go as a resource person to many colleges, and my discussion with my friends, I could sum of these ideas like this. So when compared to the desired qualities, our graduates have these are the qualities they have, but for a few who are excelling themselves in the field of education and in achievement. Subject knowledge is good, some of them satisfactory. Very weak in communication. I'm not talking about speaking fluently in English. Communication is much more than just using a language. Poor in interpersonal skills, very poor in social skills. They find it very difficult, interpersonal skills and social skills. You know, you can take statistics and see how many of our graduates, those who finish from our colleges and university, once they get married, how many of them get into divorce. So today, there are alarming rates of divorces happening among youngsters in the country, especially among educated youths. So lack of interpersonal skills is one of the reasons. Very poor in social skills. Employability is very poor. Even if they get employment, very poor performance in workplace. They lack professionalism, and most of them are selfish and indulges in self-promotion. So I need not explain in this. So you study this among teachers in the departments, you'll understand how many of them are indulging in selfish activities, as well as indulges in promoting one's own self. So this is a very, very what shall I say, disturbing thing in the country. When that is happening in educational institutions among teachers, then you can think about what will happen in what is the reality in other parts of the society, other areas of the society, in offices, in every walks of life. You can see this is the reality. Then challenges in our higher education. So now look at this picture. Just have a look at it, 30 seconds. Pay particular attention to the tree. Can anyone tell me what does the tree represent? Education, yes. Our systematic organized educational sector, be it university, it can represent institution. Okay, now look at the tree. It is bent on one side. Already our education system is, as you all agree with me, bent towards maybe socially or economically. People who with the social and economical preferences or advantages, it is bent towards them. Whereas on the other side, those who are socially, economically downtrodden, they can't access. They want to access education, but now what type of equality are we trying to do? So what we are doing is we are trying to provide equality, put them in the same classroom, same educational system for all, and the tree is bent. Again, when you try to make the, provide the ladders to reach education, again, the privileged people get an advantage. The others, again, they don't get enough advantage of utilizing the educational facilities. Sorry. Okay. Then comes equity. So government brings a reservation, 7.5 percentage, 8.5 percentage, 15 percentage, and try to put them, on side the ladder is, no, so they can access because the tree is bent. They can access it, but the other side you again, extend the ladder, providing freebies and other facilities, reservation and things like that, and you make student access. Uh, so how far these tools help them to get enough education that is needed for them? What is the correct way? So are we going to change the tools and fix the system? Like look at here, you fix the system, the education system is fixed, and everyone gets the equal opportunity. And with reference to this, what I can say is that, I work in a country, we have only one national policy for education, one system. Whereas in India, you have hundreds of systems, and people are tested for admissions, higher admissions on CBSE or central system, which is recommended by HRD, whereas states have different set of rules for education. So therefore, what is very important is correcting the system. Then only you can help the heterogeneous students and provide them equal opportunity. Now, can teaching study skills help? So if some students are lacking, can we, kind of fix the system? I think I have to leave the presentation. I have to just get back to the presentation, close the presentation, and get back to you. Hope you can listen to this.
Good morning, everyone. Today, I'm here to give a talk in the education segment on Media One TV. I will explain what is self-studying and its benefits in today's digital age. Self-studying is a learning method where students focus their studying outside the classroom. It is an excellent method that helps students to improve their learning experience and explore topics they are interested in to develop more vital study skills. They can take control of their learning and show more interest. Now, let us look at the benefits of self-studying. Firstly, self-studying helps students to learn more effectively. They can explore a topic by themselves and get actively engaged and excited about what they are learning, and they would be able to remember it better. Self-studying also helps them build study skills. Secondly, it boosts students' self-esteem. Students become more confident learners as they feel independent to learn new things without anyone helping them. And this can be a significant boost for students. Thirdly, self-study allows students to take learning, focusing at their own pace in the most exciting areas. They have lesser frustration or boredom than in the classroom setting. Fourthly, the students get motivated and they become curious to absorb more information. We often see that students absorb less information when they are not engaged in learning, so they try to memorize rather than understand. Self-studying allows students to choose something that they are interested and excited to learn about, leading to a more effective learning experience. Books, articles, and educational videos are all highly effective ways to increase students' understanding of new concepts. When parents converse with children about what they are learning, it helps them to boost comprehension and motivation to learn. We should also get our students to use different study techniques, such as reading books, watching videos, creating mind maps, or take notes that help them to remember what they have learned or accessed while they engage in self-studying. Before I conclude, let me remind you that students need some tools to make their self-study session more effective. For example, they need a good study area, a computer, and study tools, such as pens, pencils, highlighters, and a paper or an exercise book to create organized study notes. Thank you.
So that is Byron, one of my Australian colleagues. So when I asked him to help me in recording, he read out for me. And this is one way of setting up the system. Or even we can't straighten the tree, at least we can give some sort of a help. Ladders, provide more ladders to our students. So one way is when they enter the college, at least, of course, they come with only memorizing as the only tool of learning, whereas you can divert from memorizing to some sort of later study skills that would help them to learn better. Now let us look into the kind of students we have. 21st century students, so they are not easy to handle. So these are the things they are good at. 12 abilities that today's students need to enhance their academic performance to succeed in their future careers and personal lives. So these are all again connected to the graduate attributes of students. So critical thinking, creativity, ability to collaborate and cooperate with others, good in communication, information literacy, media literacy, technology literacy, flexibility, leadership, initiative, productivity, and social skills. So these are the empowering attributes of 21st century graduates. And if they have all these attributes, they can do well in life as well as in their employment areas. So responsibility of schools. When I use the word schools here, it means any educational institution. It can be a university, college. This is what they say in the West. Schools means educational institutions. Don't think that it's the responsibility of the school, not the university or college. Okay, educators to inculcate and nurture them by using appropriate curriculum and teaching methods. So this is very important. Like India, there is a problem when they recruit teachers in India for the colleges. If you want to teach +2, you should have a B.Ed and a M.Ed, Masters in BA, Bachelor's in Education and Masters in Education to teach school kids. But when it comes to college, you should have, if you have a ME and a NET qualification or UGC qualification, whatever it is, relevant qualification, you become a teacher. You have no idea what is a curriculum or what is how to design a curriculum or handle a curriculum or even delivery methodologies, teaching methodologies. This is one very big problem or inadequacy in our system. So therefore, it is important for the colleges and schools to provide enough training for the teachers in methodology and in designing and delivering curriculum. Now, what are the learning goals? So there are 3 knowledge domains for the 21st century students. So one is foundational knowledge, so about the digital literacy, core content knowledge, cross-disciplinary knowledge. If a student is studying mechanical engineering, if he can't fit a switch in his home and he says that I have studied only mechanical engineering and I can't fix this switch because I'm not an electrical engineer. So something is wrong in that education, isn't it? So foundational knowledge. So if you are studying engineering, you should have enough knowledge about that. The idea of being a graduate is know something of everything and everything of something. If you are a mechanical engineering, know everything about mechanical engineering, but at least know something about electrical engineering or computing, all these things. So core knowledge as well as branch knowledges are very important. Then meta knowledge, creativity, problem solving, critical thinking, and communication and collaborating with people. Collaboration is not only asking help, but also extending help wherever it is necessary. And humanistic knowledge, life and job skills to survive in an institution. If you have a knowledge, so I have come across many graduates from India who come over to work with a PhD from Indian universities as well as abroad, and they find it difficult to survive in a job situation. So they don't have the job skills. It is not the knowledge of the subject alone, but performance indicators are also to be, they should have enough training in performance indicators, where whatever performance indicators that measure their performance in an educational institution or a factory or a company, depends on the particular situation. Then ethical emotional awareness. So how much maturity of emotions are there, and cultural competence. This is another very important area where Indian graduates lack. You come and sit in UAE working as an executive in a company, you write very negative contents about Islam and go to jail. So you are living in an Islamic country, you are working for an Islamic country, and you don't have the basic cultural competence to understand in an Islamic society, you cannot criticize their own religion. Will you tolerate criticizing your own religion in your country? You won't. So these are all cultural competence also. So not only respecting one's own culture, respecting the culture of the people who have offered us employment, because you don't live in one country, you are born in one country, educated in another country, work in another country, die and buried in another country. So this is a current situation today in the world. So these are core, important things. So also, we should have an understanding about Generation Z, so the current day students. So what are their, qualities as such? Not everyone, a couple of them, they are aware of, some of the students are more aware of the teachers about the world and the opportunities and the knowledge base. Then they are digital natives, born with digital technology and things like that, say they have enough abilities to handle latest technology, and speed humans. So both in living and, they want to get instant gratification about anything. So speed, entertainment addicts. So they listen to more music, more cinema, more, entertainment savvy people. So collaborative partners, they are happy to work with people jointly. That is also, and micro miners, they want every information to be broken into pieces. They should be able to carry whatever they need in a flash drive or even in their own mobile. So these are some of the learner qualities. This is also very important. What type of learners come to us so that we can cater to their learning needs. Then we teachers have a look at teachers. So no, we are not born into the computer age. Most of us are not digital natives. At least, those who are Generation Z, those who are born 1997 and 2015, those who are into teaching profession, they are better off in handling technology than people like me who are baby boomers, 19 or Generation X. Yeah, I was born in 1966, so I belong to Generation X. And what are we doing here? Characteristics of 21st century educator. So we are very good in adapting. The communicator, we have to be good, the learner, the visionary, the leader, the model, the collaborator, the risk taker. We are taking a lot of risking in, handling these children. And it is not easy. So we should have all these qualities to be successful in teaching the Generation Z or the digital natives. So how can we engage these people? So heterogeneity, so, different kind of students, different caste, different color, different language abilities, different knowledge base of the subject. So one way is relating classroom learning to their real life goals. Why do they learn? If they are studying mechanical engineering, what way that is connected with their life? Then using appropriate approaches and methods in teaching, which I already told. So if you teach, the methodology in which you were taught in 1960s or 80s, and if you engage the same methodology in teaching these kids, I don't think you'll be successful. And using technologies. So what kind of technologies use a PowerPoint, video? If you see for this lecture, how many technologies I have by the end, you can understand how many technologies I have integrated, because I'm talking to a set of teachers who are already teaching technology, and on a Saturday afternoon, on a weekend. So engaging them is not that easy. So it is very important to, follow different gimmicks, different technologies, and providing captivating content. So it should have some entertainment. So the content you provide should be captivating. Another important thing is talking less and providing opportunities to think, research, and share. So if talk and chalk method won't work, and so here the rule is if 1 hour class, 100 minutes class, if a teacher is talking more than 20 minutes, he will not get next year contract, because they say that he is useless. So he is useful only for talking, not for teaching. So how do you develop a classroom? Is it easy? Providing opportunities to collaborate and communicate. So among peers. So peers groups should be, among students, you should be able to create groups and allow them to collaborate and work and learn by themselves. What are some effective methods? So now I am moving on to the methodology of teaching this heterogeneous group. Task-based teaching, using technology, flipping classes, collaborative learning. These are all different methods of using technology, or different teaching methodologies one can use. Now, task-based learning framework for tasks. So this I have borrowed from language teaching, but it is relevant for any teaching because it is methodology. So introduction, teacher, introduces a pre-task, then also you engage in task cycle. So you introduce the task, give the students task to complete within the class or even outside the class or in the labs, mostly because you deal with technology. You allow them, give them their task, and the students complete the task in pairs or in groups while teacher monitors the progress. Then planning. So they report the task completion and they come and explain how they completed, what are the outcomes. And asking one group of students to report their findings, either written report or PPT present in the class after the practical session is over. And here language focus, we can change it into performance focus. So analyze their performance, whether their performance is on the expected level. Teacher also participated in the discussion. And if they are not having enough, their performance is not up to the mark, how can they practice again to improve their performance or improve the understanding of that particular topic or particular experiment? So that is how it goes in a task-based learning cycle. Then second one is flipped classroom. In a flipped classroom, situation, this is traditional one, lecture, homework, activities. Whereas in a flipped classroom lecture, then classroom activities. Students are joined together. Also, in class, during the class, they discuss. Before the class, coming to the class, you give them the topic, they will explore, they will research and come back with at least 10-20% of knowledge, which you can substitute with additional information or improvise with additional information, and that can be enhanced by group study. Then they can go back and again check how far their learning has helped in understand these things. These are very important. So not only we talk all the time, but making them work is also very important. Then collaborative learning, which I will explain later also in detail. So collaboration is, one of the important methods where people get inspired, trust each other. So if students are not allowed to collaborate inside the classroom, how will they collaborate in society, collaborate in an academic department, like we struggle to collaborate with our colleagues? Isn't it? It is one of the major challenges in our educational institution and colleges and universities in India. So one teacher from the same department, he will not talk to another faculty member for 30 years. So I don't know what is it's a kind of big ego or whatever, prejudices or whatever. So that cannot work anymore in this world, because collaboration is something very important. Then using technology. So even, I did a course, as it was mentioned in the introduction, ICT, information teaching technology, teaching languages through technology. I did it from Trinity, London. Even though I am an English teacher, I needed to use teaching internet technology to enhance my teaching. So therefore, such a qualifications are very important. So we have to use technology. Then let me elaborate on task-based teaching. Now we all have a feeling that, only the teacher is the only source of learning, but it is not true. The teacher is not the only source of learning in a classroom. A student can also be a teacher. A student who has a knowledge in a particular chapter can be asked to explain that chapter to the other students. Therefore, you get enough rest, and you can, supplement their teaching and have a discussion. Therefore, handling them in a very positive way, that is also very important. Task-based teaching and learning. So T-bar L. Now, in the task-based approach, there are learner implications and material implications. I'm going to talk about learner implications first. Learners, allow them to communicate at every opportunity inside and outside the class. So if you have a silent classroom, I am of the opinion that there is no learning taking place. So if the class is silent, if 60 or 70 students in your class, there is no noise in the class, there is no learning taking place. Be personally and actively involved in learning activities. So students should be able to, you should create a situation in such a way that each one is actively involved. Negotiate, make suggestions about text, tasks, and methods. So what kind of chapter we are going to study next week, and discuss with the students. Have you ever tried that? You give the whole syllabus and ask them, what shall we do first? Students will come out with very interesting choices. And they should be allowed to share their knowledge, experiences, feelings, and reactions. So they should be able to encourage, or you should encourage them to take risks and live under uncertainty. Learn from attempts at communication. So give them opportunities to communicate their knowledge to the whole class. Maybe they'll struggle in the beginning, but slowly they'll pick up. And also, allow them to seek advice, acceptance from both teachers and classmates. So they get corrections from not only students, but also teachers. Both of them can help, classmates also help. And also they should get an opportunity to discuss problems and share solutions between themselves and with the teacher and other students. Evaluate their own performance. That is also very important. Self-evaluation need to be encouraged, and find ways of remembering new language. New knowledge here, basically as a language teacher, this word language overlaps everywhere. So whatever new knowledge content they have learned, they should be able to remember it for future use. Now look at this picture, where the teacher has taken a backstage and the student is involved in, and he is trying to show off in the class. Look at their eyes and the reaction of the teacher. Look at his face. So these are all very important. And one, I think, impediment or one problem is our classrooms. The designs of our classrooms are also suited only for a traditional lecturing method. I haven't visited your institution. I don't know what type of classrooms you have. If you have something different, which is, even the furniture, tables in the class are still you have the desk system, bench and desk system. I'm not aware. Maybe in the labs you have something similar, isn't it? Where all can sit in a relaxed way and what type of materials you are going to use. I'm moving on to materials from learners to materials. So we should check whether the materials likely to interest, challenge, and personally involve the learners. So materials, sometimes we prepare materials which will reach out only 10% of the creamy layer in the class. Whether the materials we prepare, whether it will reach out to the last benches or the people who are low performers, so are those who are less motivated. Do they build on and extend learners' experience and concepts? These are checklists for us as teachers. Are the objectives primarily learning oriented? Whether whatever we teach, whether it is learning oriented, okay, it may be teacher oriented, whether it involves learning on the part of the students. Are the objectives and the means success oriented? Whether there are clear-cut, realistic, worthwhile goals set for learning. Do the materials provide good models of natural use of concepts? Also, that is also very important. I'm not explaining in detail because as experienced teachers, you can, elaborate and connect your experience with that and understand it much more better than what I am trying to tell you. That's why I am not explaining it in detail. Do they offer choice in content? This is also very important. Just, provide and allow the teachers, the learners to accept, take it into their system and understand the content that is being provided. That is what I am trying to do with you also. Just I am giving you the ideas and you accept, assimilate and think and understand in your own way. Do they encourage cooperation and sharing? Whether there is any element where students have to cooperate to complete the task. Are they task-based, providing an appropriate balance between practice and production? So these PPP, this is what we use in language. Present the language, practice the language, then produce. So any lesson can be like that. You can present the concept, be it scientific, engineering, or any concept, then ask them to practice, then ask them to produce. So, and see how it works. Do they provide guidance for learners in coping with learning difficulties? There are students, multiple number of students will be there learning difficulties because some students come without basic mathematics. Some students come, there are, similar situations are there, whether the college or university can provide, evening part-time courses to supplement what is lacking in them. Identify the students. If a student is lacking in mathematics, a student is lacking in IT skills, can the college provide additional courses in the evenings where these students are encouraged to, not forced, encouraged to attend and, whatever is insufficient, whether they can improvise that. So that is also very important on the part of management to provide these kind of facilities in collaboration with the teachers. Of course, teachers have to suggest these things. Are the materials presented in a way which allows learners to work independently when necessary and to evaluate their performance? So whether we allow any kind of independent work. Now I want to show you kind of, textbook we have. This is Pathways. Mostly look at the text, even though it is reading, writing, and critical thinking. I can show you a sample later. And look at the chapters we are teaching, mostly from National Geographic, highly efficient textbooks, interactive with listening and things like that. I think I can right away show that it is open. Yes. Now look at the text. It has listening, embedded listening, and I can highlight the text.
Medical innovators, pages 167 through 169. Lesson A, reading, track 2-5. The Healer of Cordoba. It is the year 1005. In the Andalusian city of Medina Azara, a woman is giving birth. Through the window of the delivery room, she can see the city's elaborate columns, fountains, and finely polished marble terraces. Her heart is pounding because she fears this is the last time she will see them. However, she has great faith in her doctor. The doctor's name is Al-Zarawi, and in later years, he will be known to Europeans as Abul Qasis, one of the great pioneers of surgery. At the moment, all of Al-Zarawi's attention is focused on the difficult birth. He sees that the baby must be turned before it can pass through the birth canal.
Okay, even though we study language, we are giving science content. So this is also very important, the kind of content which we are using, the methods of delivery. So because we are preparing our students to use English language as a tool to study science, IT, engineering. So therefore, they need to get that kind of vocabulary and things like that to study. That is also very important. Then another thing is, using, there is something called Voice of America, Science in the News. So you can, ask your students to go and check some of this when they have free time. They can check some of these videos and make them listen to it.
Coronavirus proteins and isolated tiny bodies known as nanobodies in his blood. Tyson may become the world's most famous alpaca. Researchers from the Karolinska Institute in Stockholm have immunized him with coronavirus proteins and isolated tiny antibodies known as nanobodies in his blood. Antibodies are proteins that are produced by your immune system when it senses the body has been infected with a virus or another foreign body. The proteins then try to kill it off. Nanobodies are far smaller than the antibodies humans produce. And
for want of time, I stop this. There are many materials available on the net on any scientific concept, which we can use in our day-to-day teaching, any. And another thing is, to teach basic concepts. Manorama Publications, the Week magazine and Manorama Yearbook, they published a series of books called Tell Me Why. So it is explaining all the concepts and things like that. You can stock these books in the library, college library, especially introduced to first year students. Ask them to explore and learn how these things are happening. I'm sorry about it. So these are also very important materials which are, very useful for training the heterogeneous first years are initiating into technical education, where they are learning things, a kind of storytelling method. Another method, so this is a story written by my wife. She is into writing science stories for Tamil children. Ariviyal Ariyalam Adanudan. So this is kind of taking scientific concepts and, using this in the form of a story. And this is nuclear physics. She has, about molecules and how they are, atoms are formed, how they are split into energy. So this is one methodology where you can teach science and technology through stories. So that, they become, listening to a story is something very interesting, and all humans are, tuned towards listening to stories. So therefore, you can exploit this curiosity of listening to stories among our students to teach science and technology in a better way. You can use any language material. It need not be English all the time. So then let me come to cooperative learning, one of the methodologies which we use in our college, and it is very successful, where, make students divide the task, give them individual tasks and ask them to work in groups. And what are the advantages, or what is cooperative learning? Cooperative learning is more than group activities, more than asking our students to put their tasks together, desks together and work together. Cooperative learning is teacher helping students groups work together more effectively. Cooperative learning is thought out group work. So thought out, you pay particular attention to it, which means it is a well-planned activity pre-prepared by the teacher. So it is not just you go to the class and start a group activity, cooperative activity. It will not work that way. You have to do your own homework. Cooperative learning concepts and techniques for helping students to work together, ignoring their backgrounds and IQ levels. This is also very important. Sometimes I have problems in the very first year when they come. Some tribes won't mix with other tribes. I find it very difficult to sit together, and similarly, you may have the similar problem because India is a caste-ridden society. And in 21st century, they are bringing back the caste system in various ways and trying to implement that again in the society. So it's a tragedy, but we have to live with it. How well you can, at least in the universities and colleges, get rid of this, and how you can make our students work together, forgetting their caste, class, and other differences. So you can read this. I take a 1-minute break till you complete reading this. Hope you are done. So I remember a small incident that happened year before last year when I went to Kumbakonam as a plenary speaker for one of the conferences, one of the colleges. They have many institutions there. They asked me to give a plenary speech. And before that, we had a cup of coffee with the correspondents of the college. Correspondent asked me, sir, I want you to do one thing. In your speech, somehow you introduce, you must advise teachers to, against teachers abusing students using their caste names. So I was really surprised. A college correspondent asking a resource person who has come from another country. Even though I'm an Indian, I was coming as an international speaker and asking me to advise teachers not to use caste names to address students. It was a great pain for me, and then I had to, use many different methodologies and stories. At the end of the day, they came and agreed with me, sir, what you say is correct. We have been wrong in doing. Only 2 people came and personally talked to me and said, yes, it was an eye-opener for us as teachers. We are not supposed to do it. So therefore, we have to be very conscious as teachers. So if we are very conscious about our caste, our economic position, or our differences, definitely this will unconsciously come into our classroom. So therefore, at any point of time, be very careful regarding this. Be very conscious about not bringing in these kind of differences, even in your dreams, to be a successful teacher. Then collaborative learning. Then collaborative learning is another way of assigning tasks. In the cooperative learning, what is important is the teacher is part and parcel of the cooperative learning. He is always with the group. You create 5 groups in the classroom. You are a member of all the 5 groups. Whereas in a collaborative setup, what is the important thing is you give the tasks to students, assign groups, and they will work individually. And this is good for final year students or second, third year students. But cooperative learning is better suited for the first years who are coming fresh to the college, and slowly they can graduate into collaborative learning. So assigning students to mixed ability, creating teams. This is where we have to be careful. We shouldn't allow one particular homogeneous group to form, all good students forming, or a particular caste students forming, or particular language groups forming, Malayalis forming together, or Telugu speaking people forming together, or Tamilians all coming to. It is not like that. You should create a really heterogeneous group within the heterogeneous group, establishing positive interdependence. So they should depend, teaching collaborative and social skills. So you must also tell them how you should contribute, how you should cooperate in completing that task. Ensuring individual accountability. Tell them that divide the work into parts and each one has to contribute. Otherwise, I have an experience here when we give project and presentation, 2 people will work and all the 5 will come and do the presentation at the end of the day. After the presentation, the lead student will come and tell me, teacher, others do not do any work, so you must give us high marks. How is it possible? So in a group work, I will give equal marks to all. So it is your problem. I tell them it is your problem that you didn't tell me in the beginning or you didn't make the other group member work. So therefore, these are all the, accountability is also very important. And helping groups process information. Don't be part of the group, but whenever they need any help or advice, you happily. Now have a look at this picture. So what do you think from the colors? You can give your responses in the chat box. At least a couple of you. What do the color represent? Color of this dolls or whatever you call it. Heterogeneous, very good. Ms. Nagalakshmi, thank you very much. So that is the idea, the color representing heterogeneity. And so they come, share ideas, collaborate, interact, they brainstorm, and they form a community. And very, and discuss. So one thing is, if you allow them to work together, all these heterogeneous students will mix. I mean, there will be problems. We have to, as matured people in the society, we should be able to, or we will be able to handle it very easily. This is just, and what is the difference between collaborative and cooperative learning? I generally told, so the learning is group structured in the collaborative learning. This means that the students organize and divide the work between themselves. They also organize their work force by themselves. So they decide who takes what responsibility. All the activities are structured by the teacher. In a cooperative learning, I told you this is on what is on the right is good for the first year students, second year, third year, and postgraduate students. You can follow the collaborative method. Structured by the teacher, and each student has been given a specific role in the activity by the teacher. So that's the difference. In collaborative learning, the students outsource for material that will aid them in completing the task. Teacher don't provide any material, but they will take material from outside. The students are not left to their own devices in seeking the information relevant to the content. The teacher supplies the information or at least directs the students on where the information can be required. I think Dr. Jaya is very good at making web quests. And web quest is one method where you can collect the resources, the URL, and put it together in the form of an activity and share it with the groups. Then in collaborative learning, the activities conducted by the group are generally not monitored by the teacher. Only the outcome is monitored. However, the teacher can offer assistance if the same is requested by the members. Whereas the teacher is heavily involved in the group work. The teacher listens, observes, and can even intervene in the discussion if she or she feels this is necessary. If the teacher feels, or if it is needed, teacher should interfere. In collaborative learning, the students do their own assessment of both their individual and group performance, whereas the students submit the complete group work at the end of the lesson or the discussion in the cooperative learning. The teacher then reviews or assesses the same work and may award marks to the respective students involved. And here again, in collaborative learning, the success of the group generally depends on the success of the individuals in the group. Success of the group is highly dependent on the efforts and the accountability of all the individual members involved in the assignment. So each one is individually accountable and motivating learners. So this is also another part, very challenging part of a teacher's life is motivating students, because some come with too much motivation, some come with zero motivation. So we are expected to motivate everyone equally, treat them equally. So one important thing is teachers should be very, very objective. So how do we achieve this kind of objectiveness? We have to work our own ways. So we have to learn the ways, and nobody can prescribe rules that you can be very objective and be very effective in a classroom through these methods. As we start our teaching career, and along with we learn several ways in which you not encouraging your own caste people, not encouraging your own religious people. Now I know in Tamil Nadu there are many colleges run for only their caste people. They employ only their caste people, employ their own categories, and what is the end result? They will not get, students will not get very good teachers and at the end of the day. Maybe in the same caste there are some people who are effective from the same religion, some are effective, but that's not the real way of providing education. So if you start an education institution, you are providing education for, even if you admit your own caste children, why don't you bring very effective teachers from the society and enhance the education of your own caste people by providing very good teachers? Don't go by caste, go by experience, go by efficiency. Select teachers who are very efficient. So these are very important for the managements to decide. So let us listen to this conversation, which was again recorded by me.
Good evening, teacher. This is Sarah from Bala. How are you?
Good evening, Sarah. I'm fine, thank you. Are you Sarah from PE2 or PE3?
I'm Sarah Al-Nabhani from E12. I was your student in level 1 last year.
Oh, okay. Sarah, now I remember you. How can I help you?
It's for my older brother, Omar. He needs some help with IELTS.
IELTS. That's an English exam for people who want to study outside Oman. I don't know how I can help him, but I'll try. Tell me more about your brother.
He's a teacher in a high school. It's his first year. He teaches science subjects.
Okay. Why does he need an IELTS score? Does he want to study more?
Yes.
Tell me about his qualification.
Sorry?
Qualification. I mean, what did he study? Does he have a degree?
Yes, he has a bachelor's degree in chemistry.
From SQU?
No, he didn't get into SQU. He studied for 1 semester at the University of Nizwa, and later he got into the College of Applied Sciences.
In Nizwa?
No, in Sur.
So why does he want to take IELTS now?
He wants to do a master's degree and wants to teach in a college or university like you.
Where does he want to study?
In the UK, the United Kingdom, but only if he gets help from the government.
Help? What type of help? Finding a university? Finding a good place to live or study?
No money. Living and studying in the UK is very expensive.
That's true. So he wants the government to pay him. That's a scholarship.
Yes, a scholarship.
He'll need a high score in IELTS. Okay, Sarah. He can meet me for an hour on Tuesday. I will show him how to prepare for IELTS online. It's free.
Okay, this conversation was from Gemma, a Philippines teacher from Philippines, and Paul from London. So, I have to deal with 85 teachers from 35 countries in my department. That is also a heterogeneous group. As e-learning coordinators, it is a very challenging task for me to provide technical assistance to all these teachers, especially this COVID time, to handling online teaching. So again, among teachers, there is a heterogeneous group to deal with.
Good evening, teacher. This is Sarah.
Okay. Now, this is one way of motivating students is to communicate with them, allow them to come and talk to you. Now, don't ask me, Mr. Justin, we have 70, 80 students in one class. How do we communicate, or how do we provide time to all of us, all of them? We have a lot of, today, in the past, it may be difficult. Today, we have WhatsApp and other social media groups if it is allowed in your college. And another problem in India is that even it is a sad thing that students are not allowed to bring their mobiles to some of the colleges. I don't know what is the situation in your particular college. That I feel as a great impediment or a great hurdle to cross. Managements in India has to come out of their traditional outlook and take decisions. Of course, even otherwise they know how to bring it, hide it, and use it for their purposes. Why can't we allow them to use it for their learning purposes? So engaging in conversation with students, that is very important. So it is part and parcel of our duty. Don't think that it is 18 or 20 hours of teaching face-to-face contact or online contact. But other than that, 24/7, we are teachers. We are there to help them or engage with them. And now I would like to share one of the videos. Also, that is also very important. I felt it is important. And
a student commits suicide every hour. Do you know that India tops the world in teen suicides? A student commits suicide every hour. The way we talk to our children become their inner voices, and the way we talk about them become their life stories. Our children are not failing. We are failing our children every second day. If you're a parent, you're a teacher, you work with children anyway, then let them know, wow, you are worthy. I will not define you by your marks, ability, or background. You are original. I value your uniqueness, what makes you you, and I will not compare you to others. You are welcome. I accept you as you are. I will not shame you, and I will make sure I give you an emotionally safe space to grow. Commit to practicing wow no matter what with every child we meet.
this is also another thing, why conversation is very important is that this is a reality in our society where many students commit suicide. And so it is important to engage in conversation. At least, let your students know that you are there to listen to you. Listen to them. Once you are communicating that way, if you are able to lend your ears to their concerns, that will help them. Maybe you save a life throughout your teaching career. Maybe you saved a couple of boys and girls from killing themselves. So that is also part of our job. So we are not only teachers, but also we have kind of parenting thing is also there. And this will also help them to grow up into good citizens who care. I remember one incident which I think it is very relevant to share with you now. In 1995, I was National Children's Science Congress coordinator in Andhra Pradesh, and we organized a national meet of children Science Congress. We brought around 1,500 children from all over India, from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, and we organized that function, that 15 days program in Hyderabad Public School. And each day we used to invite a scientist or one of the greatest educationists of the country. And that time I had a chance to invite our late President, Dr. Abdul Kalam. So he came to deliver a lecture. Later the same day he had a lecture at Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology. And the next day he was given a gold medal from CCMP, Center for ICCT, so Chemical and Technology Institute. Both are near in Tarnaga in Hyderabad. And after our meeting, we were about to have dinner. And I was a little bit away. He called me, Justin. Then I walked up to him and he said, I don't find my driver here. Why don't you bring him and give him food? I want him to eat with me. So I was really felt very happy and surprised about that. A man of such a stature, he asked me to see that his driver is eating first. And I don't think he will eat any time without his driver. wherever he goes. So he understands the importance of his own driver for his safety or being another human being. He spends a lot of time traveling with him. So it is important to take care of him. So today, how many of our students who become CEOs and other officials, army officials, police officials, do they have this kind of attitude? This is also very important. So I have got many negative experiences also, how people neglect this kind of thing. And I can share one incident. I was NCC officer in Pondicherry government while I was teaching there. And once we were in a camp in Karaikal, one North Indian person was a colonel, group commander. He visited our camp and we had a late night party. And when the party was finished, it was around 12 o'clock. And then when I came out of the party hall and came out to the grounds of that Anna Arts College in Karaikal, I saw the driver and Havildar standing near the car. I went near them, I asked them, did you have any food? Then he said, no. Why don't you come and have food? They said, our officer never asked us to have food, or while returning also, he never, not even one time he has inquired whether we had food. So he doesn't care. So it is our duty to stand him, drive him safe back to the headquarters in Pondicherry. Then I said, I ran into the hall, brought some food in 2 plates and gave it to them. So, these are all very human things. At the end of the day, you can be an IT professional engineer or professor or whatever it is. You may earn 5 lakhs, 50 lakhs per annum or 5 crores, whatever. If you lack that human touch, what is the use of education at the end of the day? So therefore, these two extremes I have seen. So balancing this is also very important, and a lot of this can be done by us in the school. And another challenging thing is students' motivation and peer motivation. Students can motivate themselves. You can give opportunities for students to motivate themselves. Look at this video, very interesting.
सपना तो सब Come on, Sneha, डर मत. तू बेस्ट है तो कर सकती है. Come on. सपना तो सपना होता है, ना कोई बड़ा ना कोई छोटा होता है. मम्मी मेरी कहती है, सपने देखो खुल के देखो, सपने पर तुम अपने देखो. मम्मी मेरी कहती है. करण, आपकी बारी. Come on, Karen, all the best. करण, तोड़ दे, फोड़ दे. तेरे हाथ वाला दे. तू अपनी मम्मी का स्ट्रॉन्ग करा दे. आयुष, sit down. तू हार मत मान, तू फिर से ट्राई कर, तू कर सकता है. Come on. आयुष, come here. I said come here. मैं हाथ ऊपर कर. दीवार की तरफ मुड़ जाओ. जाओ.
आयुष, तालियां बहुत हो गई. आपने अपनी मम्मी से क्या सीखा है, बताइए.
सर, भरोसा करना. मम्मी कहती है कि अगर कोई भी अपना हौसला खो देता है तो उसका भरोसा बनना चाहिए. हौसला डबल हो जाता है.
So this is very important. We encourage students, those who encourage others. That is part of our job. And we'll find if 70 or 80 students are there in your class, at least 8-9 students will be there who are really interested in other human beings. So you can follow a kind of mentor system. you can distribute, make groups. One of the best students in charge of 4 or 5 students, he'll be acting as a mentor, thereby, giving him responsibility to look after other human beings. This is the best training for the future when he becomes an IAS officer or IPS officer. Okay, everyone is selfish at the end of the day. We work for our own selfish interests. At the same time, taking care of somebody who is with us, who is less motivated, who has problem in doing their job, studying, all these things can be taken care of automatically. So this is one way of solving a large group of issues that comes out of a large group of students. So these are the ways we can handle such a situation. So as summing up, I need to, that is great, Ms. Naglakshmi. Yeah, so there are such systems are followed in most of the colleges. Just I shared my experience, and I'm very happy that your college has such a system. So at the end of the day, students don't need a perfect teacher. Students need a happy teacher who is going to make them excited to come to college and grow a love for learning. So this is a very, everything I said and done today comes to this at the end of the day. If you make your students happily come to the college, if they enjoy staying with you for 1 hour or 5-6 hours inside the campus, that is a great achievement. Individually, when they are happy in your class, it's a great achievement for you. And collectively, if they are very happy inside the campus for 6-7 hours, they are there. It is a collective happiness for all of us. Finally, to make our teaching mission a success, our attitude is also very important. So attitude is, why am I a teacher? What kind of attitude would we come to college? And integrity. Today, UGC has created a very challenging situation by listing some of the journals as UGC approved journals. And today all sorts of business are flourishing. Clandestine business are flourishing in the publication field. And we are always provided with the temptation of losing our integrity and going for easy ways of getting things done. So even it's such a situation where one has to, keep up the integrity and go for academic integrity, personal integrity, that is also important. Then finally, inspiring. So how do you inspire other human beings? So this is one of the greatest responsibility of the teachers. And it is also important to note that, always there is someone always watching me, admiring me, and respecting me as a teacher. So if all the 70 students in the same class don't like you, maybe in one corner of that room, there is one student who sees as a great person, a great man, great woman, great father, great mother, great teacher, great human being. And he tries to emulate your example in his life. There are people waiting for you to be that kind of a person. And also always be aware that we are making a significant contact with a significant adult. So sometimes students may have less IQ, less understanding of the concepts, engineering concepts, IT concepts. We teach computer skills, but they understand us as human beings. They are no fools. So they will definitely understand. And maybe today's presentation, I was sounding a little bit prescriptive. My intention is not at all prescriptive. This is, kind of sharing my thoughts on how to handle heterogeneous students from my experience of 33 decades of teaching, from teaching, administration, teacher training, and attending conferences. So therefore, take it positively, and whatever things you want to get clarified, now you can ask me. I shall try to give my opinion about your questions or comments. Thank you very much for the patient listening. If you want, you can switch on the microphones and talk to me.
Check. Check.
It's Dr. Praveen. We are able to hear you.
Yes. Okay. Do you have any questions to discuss?
Even suggestions and to supplement, and you can explain how things are done there. It will be a learning experience for me also. Like Ms. Nagalakshmi has told me just now, we do have mentor system.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Professor Justin James. So at the outset, I'd like to summarize what we have been listening to for the past 1.5 hours. Of course, I would like to share you that we have very large classrooms that could accommodate task-based learning or cooperative or collaborative learning. We can rearrange the classrooms and conduct the classes. We have well-equipped classes here. And also we have a buddy system, as you were talking about peer motivation. We also have buddy systems, and we don't restrict mobile phones also in our campus.
That's great news.
This is for your information.
Yeah.
But of course, we teach them some etiquette of how to use it, and we have some guidelines, but we don't prevent them bringing it and using it inside the campus. Yes. So if nobody has any question, let me give a closing remark. I think there are some messages in the chat box.
Yeah, they are all very positive messages, and I am happy, encouraged. And so before you conclude, I would like to thank Dr. Jaya, the management, and the director of the institute for giving me this opportunity. And I'm really, really very happy to be with my Tamil friends from Chennai and other colleagues who speak other languages also. I feel at home. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
So we are also very grateful to you, sir, for this session. And you very clearly explained the purpose of education. And you started with the purpose of education, the ultimate aim. And you have been sharing your experiences, what is happening in Oman. And also you gave us a detailed note on collaborative learning, cooperative learning, task-based learning, etc. And I like the way you explained that education should be a natural process and it should be a direct experience rather than a forced one. And particularly we have been stressing upon the 21st century skills and the need for job skills and performance indicators rather than just knowledge on textbooks. And also you have a particular about ethical and emotional awareness, and you want to teach us to teach, not to talk. And moreover, yes, we were talking. We were also encouraging people to restructure the classrooms to promote collaborative learning, to make them to students to be more independent, allow them to be interdependent. Then give materials to involve the learners and encourage them rather than forcing them to have additional courses and etc. So, and particularly the closing remark about wow mantra, worthy, original and welcome, accepting people and promoting the uniqueness and then inviting them to participate was really fantastic. And also the videos regarding peer motivation were also inspiring. So with this note, I'd like to thank you for being with us this afternoon and sharing your experiences and how to handle collaborative and how to handle heterogeneous group of students inside a classroom. And at this juncture, I think most of my friends here will agree that there are so many fundamental things that we need to change in the Indian system. Still, there are things prevailing that are not pleasing and that will not be promoting heterogeneous group learning or collaborative learning in our system. That needs to be eradicated. Hope we'll take our best efforts to see that things get better in our environment. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's a very elaborate summing up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Clouden, I want to say something.
Yes, ma'am. Instead, I thought of mentioning about the buddy system, but Dr. Praveen Jo added that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's there in the army also. It's your responsibility to take care of your buddy. And you cannot even move out of your barrack without your buddy. So that's a good system, actually.
Yeah, we are giving the responsibility to some students to take care of their fellow friends, their academics as well as some other psychological classmates.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Cloudy.
Welcome.
So in that case, shall we close?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Justin. Thanks for accepting my invitation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for providing such a nice opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. See you. I am leaving. Bye.